If a human turns their back on you, like right in the middle of a conversation, it's a pretty universal insult.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a very clear signal that they're totally dismissing you.
Exactly. But if a cat walks into the room, sits down right next to you, and deliberately turns their back, it's actually one of the highest compliments in the animal kingdom.
It really is, which is so counterintuitive.
It's completely backward to us. So today, we're completely dismantling how we interpret feline behavior. We're taking a deep dive into this really insightful video from the YouTube channel Cat Moments. It's titled 5 Things Cats Do Only for Their Chosen Human.
And the mission here is really to decode what looks like this very murky, kind of confusing landscape of affection.
Yeah, because whether you share your home with a cat or, you're just trying to figure out your friend's incredibly aloof pet, there's a very good chance you are completely misreading their signals.
Oh, almost certainly.
Right. Like you might assume you're just the giant who operates the can opener, but you could actually be their deeply chosen human.
Yeah, and to understand what is actually happening in those subtle moments, we have to strip away the human behavioral lens entirely.
It's hard to do.
It is. But the source material really challenges us to view these animals through this strict framework of evolutionary survival. I mean, cats occupy a very precarious space in the food chain.
Because they're predators, but they're small.
Exactly. They are incredibly efficient predators, but because of their physical size, they are simultaneously prey.
Right.
So that biological duality means their brains are just hardwired for constant, unrelenting threat detection.
They're always on alert.
Always. When we look at their behavior, we cannot analyze it as, roommate being cold or withholding.
Yeah.
We have to examine it as a highly calculated display of vulnerability.
Okay, let's unpack this first scenario I mentioned because it's so common and honestly so often misunderstood. The cat jumps onto the couch, settles in beside you, and then just bam, faces the wall.
Just scares at nothing.
Yeah. No eye contact, just a gently swaying tail.
Mm.
The immediate human reaction is to feel, like, slightly rejected.
It definitely feels like a brush off. But mechanically, it is a profound demonstration of trust. I mean, consider the anatomy of feline in the wild.
Okay.
The back of the neck and the spinal column are the absolute most vulnerable points on their body. In a combative encounter, a larger predator will always target the back of the neck to sever the spinal cord.
Oh, wow. So it's the ultimate target.
It is their ultimate biological blind spot.
So by presenting that specific blind spot to you, they're basically making a physical statement about threat assessment.
Yes. They are actively turning off their threat radar where you are concerned. If a cat harbors even a fraction of a % of doubt about your intentions, their instinct just mandates that they keep you in their direct line of sight.
They'd literally be watching your every move.
Exactly. They have to monitor your micro movements to ensure you aren't going to strike.
Mm-hmm.
When they turn away, they're making a conscious neurological decision. They are determining that their blind spot is safe with you, and they just do not need to expend cognitive energy monitoring your actions.
That honestly reframes the entire interaction. It's not passive dismissal, it's like an active choice to lower the shield.
Exactly.
But what happens when that lowered shield becomes physically inconvenient?
What do you mean?
Well, there is a massive difference between a cat sitting near me facing the wall and a cat deciding that my rib cage is the perfect place to fall into a deep sleep.
Oh, right. The human bed.
Yeah. I have to challenge the romance of this behavior just a little bit. When they fall asleep on my chest, aren't they just capitalizing on the fact that I'm a mammal with a core body temperature of 98.6 degrees?
You think you're just a space heater?
I feel like I'm essentially functioning as a heated piece of furniture.
Okay, well, the thermal heat is a nice biological perk, certainly. Mm-hmm. It allows them to conserve their own metabolic energy without shivering. But attributing the behavior entirely to warmth ignores the really delicate mechanics of feline sleep architecture. Cats are famously light sleepers for a very critical reason.
The whole cat nap thing.
Right. Entering a deep sleep where the autonomic nervous system downregulates and where the muscles go completely flaccid and reaction times just plummet, that is a massive evolutionary risk.
Because they can't react if something attacks them.
Exactly. Falling into a deep sleep in the wrong environment is literally a death sentence for a solitary creature.
Okay, but if that paralyzed state is so dangerous, why choose to do it on top of a giant, unpredictable human?
It's a fair question.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
if they just wanted a safe place to sleep where nothing could get to them, wouldn't the evolutionary drive push them to hide under a bed or, I don't know, in a dark closet?
And that is the really fascinating distinction between hiding and seeking a sanctuary.
Okay.
Hiding under a bed relies purely on visual concealment, but sleeping on top of you relies on active biological monitoring.
Monitoring?
Yeah, the source points out that when a cat rests against your chest or along your legs, they are physically tuning into your vital signs.
Oh my gosh.
Your steady heartbeat and the rhythmic expansion and contraction of your lungs, they provide a constant, real-time baseline of safety. As long as your physiology is calm, their nervous system registers that the immediate environment is totally secure.
So my literal heartbeat is functioning as an all-clear signal for their brain.
You are essentially outsourcing their vigilance.
Yeah.
You're doing the guard duty for them.
That is wild.
And there is a specific posture the source highlights that elevates this vulnerability even further.
Which is.
If you notice the cat sleeping with their belly exposed, or, their legs fully stretched out rather than tucked in underneath them, that requires a complete override of their defensive instincts.
Because if they're tucked in, they can jump.
Exactly. Tucking the legs in allows for a rapid explosive spring into motion if they're attacked. Extending the legs and exposing the soft organs of the belly, that means they have entirely disabled their mechanical escape routes. They only surrender that physical readiness to an entity they consider an absolute anchor.
Well, I'll try to remember I'm an evolutionary anchor the next time my arm loses circulation because I've been trapped on the couch for an hour.
It is a biological privilege. You've been designated as the ultimate safe zone.
Okay, so we've established how they demonstrate physical trust, by turning off their visual radar or surrendering their physical readiness.
Right.
But there is a clear difference between a cat passively existing near you and a cat actively pulling you into their family unit.
Yes, very different.
Because they don't solidify the relationship through deep eye contact like dogs do. They rely on completely different sensory languages, specifically scent and touch.
Which brings us to behaviors that significantly blur the lines between human hygiene and feline social structure.
I know exactly where we're going. Mutual grooming.
Yes.
It is a very unique sensation when a cat decides to lick your hand or your hair or your cheek.
It's an experience for sure.
It really is. Their tongue is covered in tiny barbs. It feels like rough sandpaper. It can be a little abrasive and, frankly, confusing.
Yeah, it's not exactly a soft kiss.
No. The immediate thought is usually like, do I smell like the tuna sandwich I just ate? Am I dirty?
It is a jarring tactile experience for a human. But within the feline social structure, grooming is an incredibly exclusive currency.
Really? So they don't just groom anybody?
Oh, no. Adult cats do not groom casually. This behavior is strictly reserved for their inner circle. So we're talking littermates, a mother and her kittens, or an established bonded pair in a colony.
Okay.
When they extend that behavior to you, they are engaging in a highly complex ritual that actually serves multiple biological functions simultaneously.
Break down the mechanics of that ritual for me. What is actually happening when they drag that sandpaper tongue across my arm?
Well, the first function is strictly chemical. They are actively depositing their saliva, which carries their unique scent markers directly onto your skin.
Okay, so they're putting their smell on me.
Yes. In their olfactory world, scent is identity. By licking you, they are blending their scent profile with yours to create a communal family scent.
Oh, like a uniform.
Exactly. It's a chemical tag that tells their own brain and any other animal that might smell you that you belong to their specific group.
So they are actively overriding my human smell with a family signature. That's amazing. What is the second function?
The second function is neurological self-regulation.
Self-regulation.
Yeah. The physical act of grooming is deeply rooted in the maternal care they received as kittens. When a mother cat grooms her litter, the repetitive motion actually stimulates the release of calming neurochemicals.
Like an endorphin rush.
Right. So when your adult cat mimics that motion by grooming you, it acts as a physical grounding technique for them. The rhythmic motion and tactile feedback soothe their own nervous system. It physically lowers their stress hormones.
Wait, so they are calming themselves down by taking care of me.
They absolutely are. And that leads directly to the third aspect. They are offering you the exclusive care and resource allocation that they really only provide to their own kind.
Oh.
It might feel rough and scratchy to our skin, but the evolutionary intent behind it is profound inclusion. They are maintaining the family unit.
That concept connects perfectly to another behavior that also centers heavily around this whole idea of a communal scent profile.
The marking behaviors.
Yes, but this one looks a lot more forceful when you see it happen.
Oh, you mean the bunting, the rubbing, and the weaving.
Exactly. When you walk in the door from work and your cat immediately starts doing figure eights around your ankles, just vigorously rubbing their cheeks against your shins.
Almost trying to trip you.
Yeah. Or when you were sitting on the floor and they lean in to practically headbutt your hand or your chin. To an untrained eye, it looks like they are just clumsy or maybe throwing a little physical tantrum for attention.
The friction certainly looks demanding. But what's fascinating here is it's fundamentally an act of environmental architecture.
Environmental architecture? What do you mean?
Well, cats have specialized sebaceous glands concentrated heavily on their cheeks, their chin, their forehead, and the base of their ears.
Okay.
And these glands secrete specific facial pheromones.
So when they press their face into my shin, they are basically acting like a biological ink pad.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize the mechanism, yeah. But we need to look at why they feel the sudden compulsion to deposit that pheromone right when you walk in.
Because I've been gone.
Because a cat's perception of their territory is highly sensitive to disruption. When you leave the house and return, you bring in all these microscopic layers of foreign data.
Like smells from outside.
Exactly. The smell of the pavement, the exhaust from a car, the scent of another dog at the coffee shop. To a cat's olfactory system, you walk back in smelling like a chaotic, completely unknown world.
So I'm basically tracking in sensory pollution that disrupts the baseline of their safe space.
That is the kind of disruption that severely spikes their internal anxiety.
Hey.
So by rubbing those specific glandular areas against you, they are rapidly reapplying their facial pheromones to neutralize that foreign data.
Okay, I want to push on that mechanism for a second.
Sure.
If scent marking is primarily about neutralizing foreign data and managing their own anxiety, why do they focus so intensely on the human?
What do you mean?
Well, my cat rubs his face on the corner of the kitchen island, too. Does he consider the refrigerator part of his inner circle? How is marking me any different than marking a piece of drywall?
That is a brilliant distinction to draw. When a cat marks the corner of a wall or a piece of furniture, they are setting up static boundaries.
Okay.
Think of it like a router projecting a Wi-Fi signal in a house.
Yeah.
They're establishing a network of invisible safe zones so that as they navigate the physical space, they are constantly moving through their own reassuring pheromone signals.
So the island is a fixed, predictable anchor point in that network.
Exactly. But the human is a massive moving target.
Right. We don't stay still.
Which makes marking you a much more dynamic and significant process. You are the most disruptive, unpredictable element in their environment. You move the furniture, you make loud noises, you leave, you return.
We're chaos.
Complete chaos. By choosing to mark you, they aren't just tagging a static boundary. They are integrating the most chaotic element of their territory into their safety network.
Oh, wow.
They are effectively turning the unpredictable human into a mobile safe zone. They do not waste that continuous high-level pheromone investment on something they don't implicitly trust.
So I am essentially a walking Wi-Fi extender for their emotional security.
A very demanding one, yes.
Yeah.
That requires constant reauthentication every single time you come home.
That is so cool. Okay, so we've traced the evolution of this trust.
Yeah.
It starts with passive physical vulnerability, turning the back, sleeping with the belly exposed. Then it moves into active sensory inclusion through the grooming and the pheromone mapping. But the source material highlights a final stage. This is the behavior where the dynamic completely inverts, and the cat decides that you are the one who actually needs their intervention to survive.
And historically, this is the behavior that humans find the absolute most repulsive.
Yes. We are talking about the gifts, the so-called hunting trophies.
Oh, boy.
Let's not romanticize this experience. We are talking about waking up to find a dead palmetto bug strategically placed on the rug exactly where you step out of bed.
Terrible way to wake up.
Or being startled awake at 5 in the morning because a slobbery, heavily chewed toy mouse was just dropped directly onto your forehead.
Also unpleasant.
So what does this all mean? Am I genuinely supposed to feel honored by a dismembered insect? Because my initial biological reaction is definitely not gratitude. It is pure disgust.
Our reaction is disgust, sure, but in the context of feline ecology, you're receiving the highest possible form of social validation.
How is a dead bug validation?
To understand why, we have to look at the mechanics of a wild feline hunt. Stalking, capturing, and killing prey requires an immense expenditure of caloric energy.
It's hard work.
Very hard work. For a solitary predator, calories are survival. Giving up a hard-earned catch is a massive biological sacrifice. They just do not casually part with secured resources.
Then why give it to me? I clearly have a refrigerator full of my own food in the kitchen. I'm not starving.
Because instinctually, they are stepping into a maternal or provider role. In a wild colony, mother cats bring prey back to their kittens for very specific reasons.
To feed them right.
In the early developmental stages, yes, they bring dead prey simply to provide essential calories. But as the kittens grow, the mothers will deliberately bring back injured, live prey to actively teach those kittens the mechanics of the hunt.
Oh, like a training exercise.
Exactly. It is a vital educational transfer of survival skills.
Hey, are you saying my cat looks at me and thinks I'm entirely incapable of finding my own food?
In a manner of speaking, yes. I mean, they never see you hunt. They never see you engage in the stalking or pouncing behaviors that define survival in their species.
Because I order takeout.
Exactly. So when your cat drops a toy or a captured insect at your feet, they are achieving several things at once.
Okay.
They are demonstrating their own physical prowess and fitness as a provider. They are sacrificing their own caloric gain to sustain you. And they are attempting to include you in the fundamental instinctual loop of their existence.
Wow.
The translation isn't just, look what I caught. The translation is, I expended energy, I secured a resource, and I chose to allocate it to you because you are vital to my colony.
It's basically a massive instinctual wealth transfer.
That's a great way to put it.
And understanding the caloric and evolutionary sacrifice behind it completely changes how I view those jarring 5 a.m. wake-up calls. It transforms a gross inconvenience into a very serious ancient offering.
It is an offering that requires immense vitality. And actually, the source notes a particularly poignant detail regarding this behavior.
What's that?
Many owners complain about the gifts for years, but they only truly recognize the profound affection behind the gesture when their cat begins to age, their energy levels drop, and the gifts quietly stop appearing.
Oh man, so you really don't grasp the weight of the behavior until they no longer have the physical energy to sustain it.
Right. The cessation of that behavior is a stark reminder of how much effort it actually took for them to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
It highlights just how precious those strange little offerings really are.
That is heartbreaking, but so beautiful. This entire deep dive forces a massive perspective shift on how we interact with these animals.
It really does.
The overarching takeaway from the sources is incredibly clear. Cats simply do not waste their behaviors.
Never.
They operate on a strict economy of energy and vulnerability. They do not turn their visual radar off for just anyone. They do not enter a state of neurological paralysis on top of a human they fear. They don't expend precious salivary resources or facial pheromones to integrate a stranger into their safety network. And they certainly do not sacrifice their hunting trophies for an entity they don't deeply value.
Every single one of the actions outlined in the source is a heavily calculated investment. It requires them to override millions of years of solitary survival instincts.
So if your cat regularly displays even one of these behaviors, it's time to stop looking at them as an aloof roommate who just tolerates your presence in the house. You have to recognize the status you've been granted.
You're not just staff.
You aren't just the domestic employee operating the food bowl. You are the physical anchor they check their vital signs against. You are the mobile safe zone in an unpredictable environment. You are their family unit. Tonight, I challenge you to look past the surface of what your cat is doing. When they turn away from you or drag a toy into the room, look for the complex, invisible architecture of trust they're building around you.
And if we connect all these mechanisms to the bigger picture, it leaves us with an incredibly fascinating, almost surreal question to ponder.
Okay, lay it on me.
We've established that a cat incorporates you into their world by utilizing their own species-specific language, right?
Right.
They groom you using maternal neuropathways. They bring you prey as if educating a kitten. They monitor your heartbeat for physical security, just like they would their own mother.
Yeah.
If they are mapping all of these deeply feline behaviors directly onto your human frame, what if they don't actually comprehend that you are a different species?
Wait, really?
What if, to your cat's perceptive reality, you aren't a dominant bipedal ape at all?
What if they genuinely just view you as an impossibly large, incredibly clumsy, strangely hairless feline who desperately requires their scent marking, their hunting guidance, and their protection just to survive the day?
The idea that we aren't their masters, but just giant, helpless kittens they've decided to adopt and protect, that is incredible. We'll leave you to think about that the next time you're trapped under a sleeping cat. Until next time, keep diving deep.